Hey guys, Bubfish here, and as you probably know, yesterday saw the release of the first snapshot for Minecraft 1.14 Java Edition. Now, there are probably about 8 million videos that have been covering the different features, the pillagers, the pandas, and all of that fun stuff. And it all looks fantastic, amazing, I absolutely love it, it's great and all, but really what I'm excited about, probably the most right now, is the fact that the textures are becoming reality. They are redoing every texture in the game, or at least most of them so far. I haven't seen, there's some of these that have not been updated yet, but I figured I'd go through and just kind of do a quick walkthrough of the textures that I think have had the biggest change, have had the most important change, and what have you. So let's, without further ado, get right into it. And just to make this clear to people who don't know this, these are going to be the new default textures for Minecraft. This isn't going to be a texture pack anymore. This is just going to be how the game looks from here on out once 1.14 releases, which I think is nice. It's nice that they're just giving things a little bit of a refresh, but okay, let's just jump right into it here. First off, we have the Granite and the Diorite, which are much different than their original counterparts. The Granite looks a little cracked and a little funky, and I think the smooth block doesn't do quite enough to smooth it out. So I'm on the fence about those textures. Same with the Diorite. It looks a little too mottled. I mean, I don't know if this improves it or messes it up, honestly. I see why they did it, especially for the Diorite. It's just, you know, yeah, okay, cool, whatever, fine. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just kind of there, you know? It's not a great improvement on the block, I don't think. It just feels like they've made a white version of cobblestone. So, I don't know. And moving on, we have the andesite. Oh, wait, no, that's the andesite. Wait, yes. Andesite, gravel, andesite. They need to do something here. I know this is like slightly browner or something, but really right now, if you came across one or the other and you just have your, you know, pickaxe out or whatever, it might weird you out for a second. So those textures could be shaken up a little bit. I think I really do like the andesite though. I think this turned out pretty unique, pretty nice, and I think it matches well with the cobblestone. Cobblestone didn't change a whole lot. That's pretty much what we're used to. Now, this one's a little weird to me. This right here is sandstone, and you might think that this is smooth sandstone or something. No, this is just sand, which is a little weird. It's kind of hard to differentiate the textures. A bit too hard to differentiate the textures, honestly. I think the sand block, I mean, I'm fine with the sandstone. It looks okay. It actually looks nice. The sand just looks a little too hard. It looks like it's a hard-packed block of sand rather than a nice, soft, cushiony sand. And worst part of all, it's kind of got this pink tan thing going on behind the scenes on it that really messes up its continuity with some of the other blocks that it's typically used with, meaning that any builds that have end stone or end brick, they're gonna have a little bit of a trouble keeping this color scheme going. This is a little jarring to have this there now, meaning that you're gonna have to start constructing things exclusively out of sand and sandstone, which isn't the end of the world because they've added a bunch of new items for sand. As you can see here, you have the slabs and the stairs and the smooth slabs and the sandstone walls. The sandstone walls are the big thing here. Nothing particularly earth-shattering anywhere else, but I do like that they've added that in. And let's just take a look at that really quickly. Yep, that looks nice, and it looks really nice when you continue it on there. Yeah, that looks good. I'm still a little thrown off by the sort of pink tan thing going on here. I mean, I guess if they keep this It'll make it easier to get skin tones correct in builds if you're trying to build somebody with, you know, an accurate skin. I mean, I could literally stand next to this stuff and just camouflage in for most of the time. So it's skin colored sand. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I think this might be the most questionable decision that they've made in this new set of textures. Moving on. Obsidian. I love this texture. This is a beautiful texture for a block. And it kind of has this swirl in it, if you look at it the right angle, where it kind of just calls to mind an end portal looking at it now. And I really, really like it. I think that's a really good move for this particular block, and it kind of breaks things up a little bit, makes it look a little bit more exciting to me. Now, if the sand was my biggest problem with this texture pack, these blocks are the biggest win for me. I absolutely love what they've done with these. I actually think I liked the version of the diamond that was in the very first texture pack that they released when they were testing this out. But I like how all of these have turned out. They've got some more shape to them internally. That means that you can use them in builds a little bit more actively. This one, the emerald, is maybe a little too bright green without changing the texture of the emerald item as opposed to the emerald block. But I like it. I like all three of these, and I think there are actually useful build applications for these things now. You don't look like a total noob doing this. What do I mean by total noob in doing this? Well, there have always been two schools of thought as far as these three blocks are concerned. Some people, one school of thought, think it's an excellent thing to build your mansions out of these blocks to kind of flaunt your wealth, to make it look, you know, like you're super rich and all that. And the other school of thought are the people who've played the game for more than a year or so and have realized that these blocks in their regular state are pretty dang ugly. Now, I think this strikes a nice balance between the two, where people can kind of reach across the aisle on this debate, shake hands and say, you know what, they might not be great for building your house out of, but you can definitely add these things in as accents and flaunt your wealth that way, and it no longer looks super weird to just kind of have this pale blue block sitting in the floor that doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyway. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the crafting table, which I think gets a nice, comfortable little overhaul, and all of the other main blocks, like the chests and the furnaces. Oh, I didn't put a furnace out. Let's go grab a furnace real quick. All of these things have received just a nice, smooth update, and I really kind of like it. I mean, this one doesn't look like it's changed as much as I thought it had from the last update, but yeah, it looks okay. The crafting table, I definitely like it. However, I do not like the enchantment table. First off, it doesn't take nearly enough after the obsidian, which I think is what it should be doing. It should have the same texture on the bottom as the obsidian has on the bottom. It's made from the same block, for goodness sakes. So, yeah, I don't like what they've done with this, and I really don't like the fact, and there are a couple of items down the line that I'll have to show this to you, but there's a weird thing going on with the saturation and the reds in this version of the update. The red in the enchantment table is weird. It feels like it stands out in a bad way from other blocks. I don't like this update to this thing. I hope they fix it and just kind of make the red a bit more... The red needs to be vibrant. It doesn't need to be kind of like this dull, pinkish, pale, purplish thing. It needs to just pop. It needs to stand out and be exciting and not quite so dull. Not so dull-edged. I don't like this. If you couldn't tell, I don't like this. Moving on, we have a couple of the saplings that I think are good examples of what's going on. The birch sapling and the spruce sapling, and both of those look pretty dang good. I like them quite a bit. Moving on. The oxeye daisy got a nice update. I think I like that one quite a bit. But we also have a couple of new flowers here. This one, Lily of the Valley, it's weird to me because as you walk around it, the flower always stays on one side. So if you're standing right here, all of a sudden one of the flowers disappears? It's a little... I mean, I know that's how the flowers generally work, but because this one's so tilted off to one side, it weirds me out. I don't know if I like this one pretty much at all. It's kind of jarring to walk around, and it's kind of walk around with, and I think what is this? Just a lighting error? That's weird. But it's weird to walk around this one, and I don't know if there's much of a decorative application for a flower like this. Cornflower, on the other hand, I absolutely love. It's basically a blue version of the poppy, and it just looks really nice. It's nice to have a common blue flower. These just show up in the plains. Don't know where the lily of the valley comes from. The wither rose, however. Wither rose. I love it. I love it. And it's sort of like a dark turn redemption sort of arc for the regular rose, which was removed to make space for the poppy. This thing gives you a wither effect if you stand on it, and you can plant it on Netherrack. You heard it here. And there you have it. It's just kind of chilling there, chilling like a villain. And if you stand on it and you're in survival mode, blah, you will get a wither effect and lose a little bit of health. Moving on, we have another issue with our reds. And it's not so obvious right now looking at this, but if you're in a regular world and you have a bunch of other greenery sitting around, this looks like both of these have a very strange saturation thing going on. The same thing that the enchantment table has, and I don't like it. The reds need to be sharper, kind of like the mushroom over here. I absolutely adore these textures. They're just so nice. I just really like the little toadstool thing going on. I like it. I like it a lot. Oak leaves. Oak leaves have had a nice texture overhaul. These look really good. They don't have quite the sharp lines that the first version of them had. And even though I like that version a bit better just because it was so distinct, this does a good job of differentiating itself from the other leaves. So good on them. Good on them. Next up, we have a couple of different things. Nether Brick is looking really, really good. That's nice. But red Nether Brick, oh my goodness, this almost makes Nether Brick a viable building option using these blocks as highlights. And I think there may be a build in the future when 1.14 comes out where I'm going to try and use these things all cohesively in the same build. Talking of nether stuff, we have the Netherrack, the Nether Quartz, and the Soul Sand, all of which I think have a pretty good update. Now, I wasn't sold on the Netherrack for a while. I mean, I feel like it's once again just a retextured glowstone, retextured cobblestone sort of thing where there are just these little lumps and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but after going into the Nether and switching over to these textures, it took me a moment to get used to it. But the second I was used to it, it felt like I was in the same old Nether, except one that was just a bit smoother, you know? Just something where you looked off across the lava lakes and, you know, you could tell exactly what you were looking at immediately. It was nice, actually. It was nice. And it's one of the biggest differences in this texture pack. Obviously, original Netherrack is a very noisy block. Once again, this almost makes this accessible as a building option. But we'll see about that. Oh, and I absolutely love these textures. Yes, the Mossy stuff gets a nice color overhaul from the weird green that this had and the weird green that this had, and it's all standardized. It's been standardized across the board, and we have Mossy cobble walls. And, well, I mean, the Mossy cobble walls is no big deal, but the stone brick cobble walls, or stone brick walls, those look great. Those look just fine. This is a loom. Have not bothered fiddling around with this yet, but it's an interesting block. Definitely is going to be used as chests of drawers more often than it's used for banners. Gotta say that. And that looks cool. That looks cool. Could also use it for like the inside of a piano or something, I'm thinking. Definitely a lot of creative applications for this block, and it's not too difficult to craft. So good on them. This is a nice addition. Talking of nice additions, we have the glass, and the regular glass looks fantastic. I absolutely love how this has turned out. Once again, it's just a very nice, smooth, clean update to the glass, and it's not quite as chunky or blocky as the original versions that they had for this texture pack. I like it. I like it a lot. Problem though, because it's so neat and smooth, this is what the individual panes look like. It's a little bit of a problem if you've used these things to construct anything out of. And yeah, it's just a little weird to look at. Before we actually move on from glass, I've got some colored glasses here, some stained glasses, and I don't know if these have been updated. I can't really tell. And if they have been, this is a bit of an issue for me. I think I want to see these glasses updated to have a similar structure to this glass. Not, perfectly clear and see-through, obviously, still with this sort of opaque look to them, but colored internally similarly to this, where it's more uniform, maybe. Just a thought there. I just like consistency across the blocks. If they're going to be changing them, they should change them all so they work together. Dead bush. Looks good. I like it. Sunflower. I like it. 6 different types of signs. I love how the signs look. I don't like how the font looks, and I don't know what solution there is to that. I think they standardized it because the dark oak sign, it was really hard to tell what was written on it. But if they had a way of taking this, and this sign, giving them the white font, and this, and this sign, the regular font, I think not only would that give us better options and more options, it would just look better overall. But that's just my theory. And let's move on to the items for a little bit here. Red apples. Red apples! I love them. They are absolutely amazing. They look so good. I almost want to eat one right now. This is one of my favorite, just off-the-wall textures for this entire thing. Excellent. Diamond, nothing really new to report there. It just kind of looks like a nice update. Same with iron and gold. Gold, in particular, is very nice and shiny. So, that's good. Diamond, gold swords. Those are very nice. Very, very shiny. And I like just sort of the nice, subtle updates that a lot of these things have gone through. It's just enough to make it look brighter. So that's good. The textures for paintings have been slightly updated. The actual paintings themselves have not, so that's a little bit of disappointment. Chainmail. Chainmail looks really good. And it looks even better if you're wearing it. So that's nice. That's nice. Melons. I was very against this texture. Very, very, very against this texture, but at this point, I don't really care enough to hate it, and this is a bit better than what it was, I think, so, fine. It's okay. It's not the best thing ever, but I can live with it, and it makes it stand out a bit better in the jungle, so, who am I to complain? Whatever. Cool. Moving on. Sticky piston. I love the way that sticky pistons look now. That's just kind of a nice little thing. Bamboo. Bamboo is one of the new things that they've added in, and I like the texture quite a bit. In fact, I think if you have enough pots like this and enough bamboo, there are some really interesting structures you could make out of that, and I think there's going to be some interesting decorative builds coming out of the 1.14 update when it gets here. Dyes. What do we have for dyes? Brown dye is now a thing. White dye, blue dye, and black dye. They are all now something that you can craft either from ink sacs or the Wither Rose, cornflower, and lapis here. Bone meal, maybe? I don't know if bone meal actually turns into white dye. I'd have to check that out. And cocoa beans turn into brown dye, which is nice. We don't have a brown flour yet, which is... that's a little disappointing. I mean, what is that going to be, though? Is like a poop flower? So we're getting toward the end of things here, and the ink sac and the red dye. The red dye and the ink sac. What is there to say about these things that I haven't already said? It's a saturation issue. Again, I don't know why, but these feel so weird when placed against any other of the blocks in Minecraft. They just don't work. They don't work at all. I don't like them. Moving on. The final change that I think I would like to touch on is this. The crops. I love the crops. I think they've done such a good job with the wheat and the carrots and the beets and potatoes and all of these, and just making them a little bit more unique, a little bit more colorful, a little bit more exciting to stare off into the distance at and be like, oh, hey, neat. Also, when you touch water, apparently you get the boat recipe. That's nice. But no, I do like these things, and I hope they make it into the final version. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on some of the new textures from Minecraft 1.14, or the first Minecraft 1.14 snapshot. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. There's a lot of good stuff. I'd encourage you guys to check it all out for yourself. Just enable snapshots in your Java launcher, and you should be good to go. One other thing that I'd like to mention is the redstone, and that looks a little weird. You can see it in my hand right now. It's a bit brighter than it was and a little chunkier, but I think that actually works in its favor. It looks just fine to me. So that was one of the other items that I think I had missed. But other than that, what do you guys think about all this? Go ahead and hit me up in the comments down below. Tell me what your favorite texture that I've shown you off today was. And tell me what you think needs the most help before the game fully releases these texture packs. Anyhow, guys, this has been this time. That will be that time, and I have just run out of time, so I will catch you next time.